Hello and welcome, Wonderful Adventures. This is a tutorial where we're making a puzzle game similar to this. So let's get started. In this video, we're going to actually look at how we export to Android. So first, I want to show you a couple things on what I end up usually having to do when I export to Android. And usually the icons are very specific. They have to be first 192 by 192 in pixel size. And this icon you see here will be the icon you'll see when you're playing the game and you grab the window and you can see the tiny icon above. This will be that icon. Typically, you might want to have this a little bit smaller, maybe 64. But this is, if we grab a hold of it like this, you can see it is 160 by 160, and I have an extra space. I just have it where it can have a little border, and Google Play will round this off. So you'll need a background icon, and like I said, this is 192, but your background icons are 432 by 432 in pixel. So I have here a background with just a black square, or not a black square, a darker square that's a darker blue square, more for kind of shadowing, I guess. So I have this square, and if you look at the square, it is 192 by 192, right? And if you look here, we have our icon this is the foreground. This is, again, for adaptive icons. And then what does that say? And that's 192 by 192 as well. I just didn't completely line it up, so it's just a little bit off. But it is 192 by 192. And what this part here, all this does for us is in the game, say you want to, or not in the game, on your phone, you wanted to move your app from your home screen to another screen. When you grab it and move it, the direction you move it to will create this adaptive icon shadow or effects. And one of the effects is our background makes that little shadow effect. So when they move it around like that, it's shadowy. And another thing that happens is with our white bordering is it makes this part of it show inside of the circular part of the app icon. So it kind of makes it look swirly in a way, in the opposite direction of where you're moving the icon. And when you see your game, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you just swirl it around on your phone a couple of times. If you look at the apps, you can see that they kind of have some visual effects to them a little bit. And this creates a nice little visual effect. If you open up this page in Google, and I'll leave the link for you, but this is a documentation page on Godot Docs, and it just shows you, it goes over what I've basically gone over, except minus the things that I've actually gone over, a few things that I've gone over. So first, you're asked to install OpenJDK, and if you just follow the link, it will bring you to this page here, and it is very daunting and confusing. So if you just make sure that you select what operating system you're running on, it can get much easier. I'm using 64 Windows, so I chose this, and I also chose the I think it was, yeah, the JDK, and downloaded it, installed it, and it will install Termian Eclipse. And when you're installing this, it will actually ask you during the install. Um, let me just do it. I think that showing you might be easier than trying to explain it. You have to have the This JDK is for specifically for uh, when we need to run our key stores, which I'll show you later. But it's how we'll run our key store. So you'll go here, you open this up, and you'll install it. And somewhere in the install, it's going to ask here to set Java as a home variable. Make sure you do that. I won't go through all this again because I've already done this. But setting Java home variable, make sure you do that. And then next, you want to download Android Studio. And I just download the most updated version from Android Studio. It cautions you on here, down here, I think, if you're using Linux, make sure you don't use the repositories. But either way, I would suggest that you just go to the link and download it there. You download Android Studio. I'm not going to download it now because I already downloaded it, but and I already have it, so it'd just be a very long process. It's the exact same as installing any other program. I believe it will also ask you to set a home page for it or a home directory for it as well. But if it does, make sure you say yes, it's fine. Um, it says to run it once, and you have to run it once anyways. So we'll go ahead and after you install it, you'll go ahead and open it up. And also, uh, generally, it seems like I have to open mine with um, in Windows. If I'm using Windows, I have to open it with admin permissions. So sometimes it won't work right. It may be because the admin permissions needs to be set basically as a default. If you come up here and you see SDK Manager, open it up, and you'll see here SDK Platforms. And if we open the web page back up, just make it smaller, it tells you that you want to uh, install the most updated. Well, right now Google Play is telling you that you have to install devices ran on no more than two greater than the last uh, engine export or whatever you would call these here. So it can't run on anything back here now. It actually has to run on stuff up here. And as far as legacy goes, I think you can get by with some legacy kind of things, but right now Android wants everything updated to at least 13, I think, or uh, 33 API level, so to speak. And you can see over here that um, it has a few more options that it needs you to do as well. So like I said, over here, we want to make sure that we have at least I think 32 is something you definitely have to have, but you probably want to start doing 33. And as you can see here, I've already put in 34, and I have 7 just just because for the minimum running in Godot, I just have it on there. Um, so we go to SDK tools here, and if we see here, um, you'll want to do this one is the most updated one. This will be an updated one. This is the latest version, but I don't think it isn't like a newest update. These two I know just recently updated, but you'll check CMake. You don't have to necessarily have all of these checked, but I think I did a lot of overkill a long time ago, and I checked out, and I also checked. You have to have this one checked. I think per Google Play Store you have to have this one checked, and all of these checked, and you may not need to have these checked, but as you can see, I also have those checked, and then have the inspectors checked as well, but I don't know that you're necessarily required to have those checked in Google Play. But it seemed that I started going overboard, so I just continued over. And this isn't nothing. So what you'll do is click apply, and it will update everything, and it will be a large, very large update. You'll do the same in here, apply and update, and I think it'll probably be somewhere around 2 gigs worth. So be prepared for a long process for here, because I think Android um, Studio is very big. All the APIs that you'll have to download, at least for the maximum, it's still big too. But if you do what I done and download multiple ones, those are all big, and it will take enormous space. I think with Android Studio, it is consuming over 90 gigs in file space on my hard drive. So just keep that in mind. So we come back here, and let's see. If we go down, this is for keystore, and I'll explain to you later what this really is for the most part, but I'm going to give you just some quick parts on this one because it's the debug, and you'll need to do both of them. But I won't show you how to do debug, but I'll show you how to do the actual key store. But keep in mind that debug is done the exact same way, except it's much faster, much easier, and you'll keep it exactly the same. So what you see here actually is an alias for the key store, and then you can change this, and you can change the password, but you can keep them the same. And by default, if you just let Google do it, or and Godot do it, I think it does it um, just like that anyways. Uh, but if not, this is your alias, this is your password for Godot and inside of Godot, and I'll show you that here later. You won't need to worry about anything else in here. It really is a lot of other things that is not really relevant to what I know, so you won't need to worry about that. And so I just wanted to scroll down and show you here is for exporting to Google Play. This is the one that we'll use that actually means something. So we'll copy this down and open our command prompt after we install. Make sure that our Java is installed. Make sure that also our Android Studio is installed. So if we open our command prompt and we paste this in, we go to, well, you don't have to do this, but generally I will do something like this. I will name my key store something like new game name, and then I will also, the alias I typically will have it kind of match the game name. So I would say something like game name. And then you go, or not go to the end and press enter, but you just press enter, and you're asked to give the key store a password. You'll need to remember the alias and this password. You won't be able to see what you type in, but it's going to ask you to do it twice. It's imperative that you remember that. And what I do to remember it is I come here immediately. I put in my, say this was game name and whatever I did for the password. I immediately put that in so I don't forget it. And it's going to ask you for your name. And it's going to ask you what your organizational unit is. I'm not 100% sure what they're asking when they're asking this. I can only assume that they're asking maybe your title or a division or something. But for me, I just put in my actual acronym for my studio, and then for my organization, I put in and press enter, and then ask for your city, and also for your state, and then your country code, a 2-letter country code. Press enter, and it's going to ask you to confirm that everything was correct. If you press enter now, it's going to make you start over with all of your names and things, all of these. So just push Y. But if you miss something here and you need to go back, just push no, and it'll make you do all of these over again. But at least it'll be correct. So you press Y, press enter, and it'll print this off to you. That's how you know you have your new key store. And now you just navigate to usually it's in your home folder of the user. Video down, and new game name key store. So what I typically do then is as you see, was already in, I save it into a folder, and I save this documentation into the folder with it so I can remember it. But never, ever, ever give your key store, your signed key store out to anybody. It's a flagrant violation for you, and I'm pretty sure if you allow somebody else to use it, they can cause trouble on Google, and then that would look bad for you too. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Now, in our game, we first want to install Android into our editor. But first, make sure that you have exported templates on, or have an exported template in. If you don't, you'll see an error here saying that there's not one there, and gives you an option to download the current one to the engine you have open. And you can see I have several different ones because I run several different engine versions. I've been developing in Godot since 2016, so I've ran many different Godot versions. So you'll choose download and install, and it'll take a couple of minutes and install a template. Once that's done, you will need to go to project settings, and choose Install Android Build Template. Takes you a couple of minutes here. And you'll notice over here we don't have anything. And sometimes Godot, when you use a plugin, you have to go up here and reload current project. Once it's reloaded, you'll see we have a new folder there for Android. So we go into Editor and go into Editor Settings. Go down to Android and choose your file location for your SDK, which is typically in your home user home folder. If you're using Windows, App Data, Local, Android Studio, or I'm sorry, just Android, and then you'll see SDK, and you'll choose that. And we'll go to the folder where we keep our debug keystore, and we'll choose that. And debug keystore was Android debug key for the basically the alias, and the password is Android. I usually use this one-click deploy clear previous install. That way it will erase the one that was already on there. For some reason, if it don't do that, even when you're testing it, I think it runs pretty buggy afterwards. There's another setting up here that we'll have to set. Oh, no, not here. Actually, I'll show you how we set it when we go out here. First, let's save it. And we'll go to Export and go up here and choose Add, and then choose Android, and you'll see some options pop up like this. Let me just delete this one and show you mine. So you can see I have this error message saying import etc to ASTC to fix. All you do is just fix, and it's easier that way because it doesn't actually restart the editor with this. So you'll make sure both of these are checked, and use Gradle build. We'll check that because if you didn't install this already, it's and you check that, it's going to ask you to install it. So make sure that's all. That'll be showing an error there if you do check that without installing it. Anytime I export, I never adjust these afterwards. I just leave them the same in the editor, and I never adjust these ones. These you have to actually adjust, and I'll show you when we look at our key. But for now, I have my key already, and I will go to oops, I was clicking too fast. And you'll want to put your password and release user name here. I showed you what those were, but I'm not going to put them in because you'll see them, and I don't want you to see them. So next here, when we name it, we want to give it a name, and then a dot, and then a name, and then a dot. And this is how I typically name it. Fog Studios I say Fog Studios game name dot game. That's for the basic, and then you can name it here whatever you like. And for just debug only, if you've not set all of this up yet, you'll want to uncheck signed. But I'm going to sign it because for Google Play, and I showed you how to do that, right? So, well, I will here shortly, actually. And so first, the icon that I showed you, 192 by 192, we'll navigate to that folder, and we'll put it in. 192 by 192. And we'll do the same for the foreground and background. And so it's over here in content. You can see over here assets, Android icons. So just navigate to this folder and grab them, and that would be it for you. So put in my name and skip through the next part of the video and show you the actual exporting part of it. One more thing I want to mention about exporting to Android or Google Play, especially Google Play. When you have it signed, think of this as being, once you put your app on Google Play, and basically if somebody downloads it or plays it at all on Google Play, it's basically that app version is stuck on there. Now, if you keep it in test and you don't allow it to be downloaded, then I think it's fine, and you can actually delete the AAB, which is what you have to upload when you're uploading to Google Play, is an AAB. So when you upload that, you'll have to keep that in mind. And you can name the code versions, but these can change. And once, like I said, once you set it, that's it. You cannot go back and add a new version of the game with the same code version. So if you updated the game any, you would have to physically update this. Once you upload it, you try to upload the same APK with the same code version, it will not accept it. It says, I've already got this. Why do I need it? So that's very important for that. So like I said, when we export to Google Play, we want to say AAB here. And you can change these if you want. It really won't matter, because for the most part, Godot will only export, I think, at max at 32. And as long as you have everything set up in Android Studio, for the most part, all your exports should work from your minimum version to your targeted version, other than 33. 33 works, but for some reason Godot only wants to export at 32 right now. It won't fully update its Gradle version, so still looking into seeing how to actually do that. So choose Export Project, and make sure you navigate to your folder, because it generally wants to keep you inside of the game that you're actually developing on. So I actually have a folder here, Android, and I'll export it here. And this is usually pretty quick. If it's the first time, it will load kind of slowly, but the more times you run it, the faster it actually gets. So the neat thing about having the export set up as we did is, now if we connect a USB cord to our phone and our computer, we'll get the computer to connect to the phone, and now you see this lit up. When it's not plugged in, it's shaded. So plugged in, and now what that does is, when we go to debug and we make sure we have deploy with remote debug on, is if we have USB connected to our phones, we can actually run the game on our phone like this and export it to our phone the same as we did the actual project. Now, one thing I will tell you, if you're running in debug mode, you should be able to see prints come out while you're playing the game and you have it plugged in through the USB. But if you do export the game, or let's say, I mean, if you put it, you can hear the game playing now, but um, if you if you put the phone like the game is on the phone now, so if I were to unplug my USB and then try to play the game, it won't play because I have here with these settings on. So if you want to play the game after you unplug it from your phone, you want to take these off. But this is just for testing when you want to test it. So anytime you want to do debug, if you use debug, you're going to think about the game not actually being able to play on somebody's device. So with that being said, we've now exported to Android, we've now exported to Windows, and we got a couple more things that we're going to do with the game. What we're going to do first is we have to make sure that we end the game, right? And what if they reach the levels that we've already made to the maximum amount? What are we going to do about that? Well, don't we have to restart it? And I'll show you how to do that in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.